Coach will have an opening statement, and then for questions, please remember to be recognized and get the microphone.
All right. Very disappointing loss. Embarrassing performance. First time since I've been here where I felt like we had some guys that quit on our football team, and that can't be tolerated. That's one thing you can't do. You can't quit. If you quit, you don't play. So we got to do a great job evaluating that film and making sure we got the right guys that's out there battling with us. You know, again, every aspect of the game, offense, defense, and special teams, we didn't play well at all. And you must play well against a really good football team, and we did all the things you can't do against a team like that. And that's on me and our coaches and our players and everybody that's here. And we got to find a way to get that right.
All right, questions? We'll go to Wayne down here in front.
Coach, the worst home loss in program history. Just, do you still feel like your program is heading in the right direction?
Well, I do. I think a lot goes with it. I mean, part of changing the culture is changing our mentality. I think mentally we're a mentally weak football team, and we're not mentally strong yet, and that's part of changing the culture to get it the way that you want it. You know, there's a lot of good things and a lot of progress is being made. Not as fast as we want in the win-loss column, but it's being made. This game made too many mistakes and didn't play as well as we needed to.
Coach, what was your message to the team after the game?
Pretty much what I told you in our opening statement there. It was embarrassing. I was disappointed. We're going to find the guys that quit, and we're going to find the guys that kept playing and make sure that we keep those guys in there. So there'll be some changes come next week.
On the right side.
Willie, the play was one thing, but you also had a couple guys kicked out for throwing punches. How do you handle that, and what do you do about that as a program?
Well, we'll discipline. We're going to discipline him. Of course, he'll be out the game, but we'll discipline within our program. You know, that's unacceptable. That's mentally weak. That's what losers do. You know, and that can't happen. That's got to change. And again, that's unacceptable. It can't happen. That was BS.
Coach, despite the final score, it was a scoreless game after the first quarter. You guys were in the game, and he had some self-inflicted issues that happened early on. Does that make it a little bit tougher to swallow his loss?
Oh, it makes it real tough against a team like Clemson. I mean, you can't make mistakes against that team. You got to take advantage of every opportunity that you have, and we had plenty, and we didn't take advantage of it. You know, we snapped the ball over our head when we had a nice drive going, and all these penalties we had, just undisciplined, and we dropped balls. I mean, we didn't play winning football. I mean, you can say it in every aspect of it. I mean, everybody took part in making mistakes, and again, against the number 2 team in the country, you can't do that.
Coach, is this the most disappointing performance you've seen by your? It's considering the last few weeks you guys have made obvious progress and then kind of take a step back. Is that a surprise to you?
It is, because we made so much progress, and to be able to come in this game and then we get down and then just lose our cool, lose our whatever you want to call it. I mean, it was surprising, because I thought we got over that hump, and apparently we didn't. You know, and again, when things didn't go our way, we didn't handle it well. And again, that more than anything, where we got to get better as a football team is just, again, handling adversity the right way.
Coach, after seeing the gap between Florida State and Clemson, how long do you think it'll take, seasons-wise, to get Florida State back to a place where it can compete in the ACC?
Personally, I don't think it's going to take long. I think we got some issues that we need to correct. I think we all know that, and get those corrected, I think you'll see a big change in our entire program. But I don't think it's that far away. We got to keep track. We got to keep climbing and keep working and keep recruiting, and that's the only way you're going to get to where we all want us to be.
Well, the defense seemed like it was giving you guys every chance early on, and then they kind of fell apart. Do focus on that? As far as evaluating the defense, do you focus mostly on the early stages before it got out of hand?
Well, I think you evaluate the entire football game. We're not going to make any excuses for anything. Our defense on the field, and they got to get off the field. It don't matter how many times you're out there, you got to get off the field. When it comes third down, get off the football field. So we're going to evaluate the entire game from the first to the fourth quarter, how we played. We should be playing the same way we played in the first quarter. We should be playing the same way in the fourth quarter, no matter what the score is. And that's the mentality we want with our football team, and we don't necessarily have yet, and we'll get there. But again, we didn't play well enough, offense, defense, or special team.
Willie, you've been doing this for a while. When you feel like, I don't know how many times in your career you felt like a team quit or players on your team quit, how hard is it to turn that around, to get them to not do that?
Well, part of it is those guys just can't play. That's a big part of it. And then you got to find the winners. Find the winners on your team and make sure when you're out recruiting, make sure you're recruiting winners. That's really important. You can't just recruit off the internet. You got to make sure you do your work and get the right kind of people in there.
Go back to Connor.
Coach, I had a couple of injury questions. Do you have any update on DeAndre, Brian, and Dontavius?
I don't. I haven't talked to our trainer yet. I know DeAndre went out. I think he hit his head on the ground or whatever. And then who else did you ask me about there?
Dontavius and Brian.
I know Dontavius, he had a rib injury there, so haven't got the final results on him yet. And then one more time today.
Brian Burns.
Brian's fine. He's fine.
Coach, you had 16 penalties for 134 yards. Just how disappointing is that, especially when they're just lining up penalties that you guys have continually had throughout the season?
Well, it's very disappointing. Again, we went backwards in this game, went back to what we were doing early in the year, some things that we improved so much on in the last few weeks, and to get in this game and make those mistakes is very disappointing. And those things can't happen. There's a lot of guys took turn. Our young guys did it, older guys did it. 16 penalties, that's just undisciplined. You can't win ball games. I don't care who you're playing with 16 penalties.
Looking at the rushing yards, that's somewhat influenced, I know, by Alex's bad snap, by the sacks, but they really completely neutralized what you were able to do on the ground. I mean, how tough does it make it offensively when a team with that much talent is kind of able to completely remove one facet of your game?
It's tough when you're one-dimensional. I don't care what team you are or who you're going against. It's hard to play the game being one-dimensional. And when you playing against a team like Clemson, you can't be one-dimensional. You got to have both going, and we weren't able to get either or. So that's very disappointing from that standpoint and frustrating.
Willie, you talked about the players. How do you evaluate your coaches during the season? Obviously, the players aren't totally responsible for what happens. So how do you evaluate your coaches during the season or wait till after a season?
Well, I think you always evaluate the coaches. Like you evaluate the players each and every week, you evaluate the coaches as well. And each coach is responsible for their guy. If their guy's not playing well, then that's on you as a coach. You got to get them. You got to get them to play well. That's your job, to get them to play well. So that's ultimately on the position coach to get his guys to do the things that we need them to do. And that's what we have to get to as coaches and as players. If they can't do it, then we need to make sure that someone else is in there that can do it.
Anything else, Coach Taggart? All right, thank you, Coach.
That one right here.
Coach, great weather, a lot of good recruits in today. After a game like this, how do you overcome this in recruiting, and what's your message to those guys?
Well, I think these guys know why we're recruiting. A lot of guys that's here recruiting because we need them, and they understand that. I don't think just this game is going to wipe out years of recruiting. Some of these kids you recruited for a long time and build a relationship. One game's not going to just say, okay, we don't want to be there. I think a lot of guys that were here today know some of our deficiencies, and I think that's why they're interested in Florida State.